The Spurs are set to go on an extended road trip. How do you think they'll do without Castle and Wembanyama?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Friday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs beat writer for Ken's 5 TV in San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope you're having a great day. End of the work week, everybody. Yeah, the weekend is here. Hope you all get to enjoy it. Maybe pick up some wins in the horizon. Yeah, maybe. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. As always, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. Go subscribe right now. Become an everydayer. And if you are an everydayer, keep on doing that. Be part of the #1 sports podcasting network across the land. #1. Yeah, congratulations to everybody here. And thank y'all for making that possible. So what are we talking about today? You see on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. But if you're not, we're going to the road trip that's set to begin right now. After a long homestand, the Spurs got pretty stiff competition on the horizon, and we're going to look at that. Ask the big question, can they survive this road trip, likely without Castle and Wembanyama? And then Mitch Johnson, he's having to coach a team without Wemby and Castle. Is this one of his earliest, biggest tests in his young head coaching career? We're going to talk about that and more. Let's go to bring in our guest, first-time guest here. He is Mr. Jared Weiss of The Athletic. He covers the Spurs out here in San Antonio. Jared, welcome to Locked On Spurs. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here.
Happy to be here with you.
By the way, I heard you just broke your PR on a bench right now. Heard you're at 500 max, man. Congratulations, buddy. How'd you do?
A little bit less than that. A little bit less than that. We might have to take a couple zeros off of that one.
You put the little 2.5 plates on there and be like, can I get a spot? Anybody? Can I get a spot? Jared, you want to give out your X handle there for those people who want to follow you?
Yeah, Jared Weiss, NBA.
Exactly. He is the new Spurs writer for The Athletic. Make sure you follow him right now because the season is well underway. Jared, I know I don't want to keep you away from your workout there. I know you got to go flex and get in front of that mirror and post on IG all your moves and everything there. But let's dive into some silver and black talk here. So the Spurs just finished a nice, long, extended home stand. Now they got to get on the road. They got 4 pretty tough games, I would say. Hopefully they get a measure revenge against Portland. Against Phoenix, excuse me. Then they got Portland, second game. Then they got Denver, more of that in a bit. And they wrap it up in Minnesota. It feels to me, Jared, when I look at those 4 teams that lie ahead for the silver and black, we're going to probably get an early look at this mettle, this toughness, if this team has a wherewithal to take on some of the bigger boys in the NBA. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, this road trip is a lot harder than we expected coming into the season because Phoenix is continuing to play great. Like where are they in net rating? I think they're at 7th in net rating. They're actually ahead of the Spurs right now. They have, I think they're like, 2 games back of the Spurs in the standings. Like Phoenix is probably the shock team in the NBA this year. And we've already seen how well they play against the Spurs. They completely took Wemby out of that game a few years ago. So that one's going to be interesting. And then obviously Denver and Minnesota are 2 of the top teams in the NBA. Portland, not in great shape right now, so I don't think that's going to be a huge challenge for them. But
sure,
I mean, we'll see. I mean, Memphis without all their point guards was a tough beat for them, so maybe we're gonna see some reality hit pretty hard. And obviously, they have Atlanta's going to be a test. So they have a lot of good teams that they're facing here, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're falling close to 500 by the end of this trip, just because of the quality of teams they're facing.
And you know what, Jared? If they survive this at a 500 record, I think I'd be okay with that. Because the last thing this team needs is to go on a 4-game losing skid in the West, even a 3-game losing skid, because we've seen it. It was just not too long ago, Jared. They were number 2, 3 in the West, and they seen it fall down as far as 5th. Further was 6. They got the Lakers kind of surging a little bit. LeBron is back. Luka's playing out of his mind right now. So yeah, they got to keep the ship steady until 2 of their bigger weapons get back from injury. I look at these next 4 games, and I'm just going to get the elephant out of the room right now. Okay, let's just skip forward to Denver. That might be the toughest out right now. I think if there's a silver lining in that game that lies ahead is, hey, at least the Spurs will get a look at what a championship team is made of, how they can learn from that, even if they get drubbed. I think that could be a silver lining. Look, I'm not counting them out. The Spurs shot Denver a few years ago. I don't know if you remember this. I think they spoiled Denver's playoff positioning, home court advantage in the final game. Devontae Graham, when was the last time you heard that name? He exploded for X amount of points and helped the Spurs beat Denver. Hopefully, the Spurs can shock the world again. But if I look at that game, and if they get clubbed, fine, but learn some lessons on that court, Spurs. But I want to start off with Phoenix. I got to get some revenge, Jared. I got to give some revenge. I'm going to chalk that loss up to just a blip on the radar, a trap game. But I got to see a little bit more moxie from the Silver and Black starting game one on this road trip. Your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's been proven that was not a blip on the radar with the way that Phoenix is playing. And I'm not sure if Grayson Allen's going to be healthy for that game. But, I mean, Devin Booker's been playing at almost an MVP level. He's been phenomenal. And his efficiency has been great. His assist numbers are through the roof. Obviously, Grayson Allen has been good too. Jordan Knott has that team playing on a string. They're like their defense is even like pretty solid. I think they're 12th in defense. Their offense has just been very high octane. They're one of those teams that kind of lives their principles very well. And it's always cool when you see a roster that you expect is going to suck coming into the season. They get a new coach and we're like, I wonder what this coach is going to be able to do. And Cleveland last year, their offense was phenomenal and their defense was really good. Obviously, they had the DPOY. And to see him bring, I think, a lot of that same connectivity and to empower a great playmaker like Booker and have everything run through him, it's like, this is a really good coaching job here. This is a team that's very well run. So this is going to really test Mitch Johnson's ability to like go toe to toe with a team that's really well run right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I look at that next game, Portland, that seems to be quote unquote the winnable game, but this is the NBA. Anything can happen. Mitch Johnson's repeated it over and over again, win or lose. It's tough to get a W in the NBA, and it is. You mentioned Memphis. They were playing tough versus San Antonio for about 3.5 periods until the Spurs just took over. But nevertheless, I look at these next four, Jared, and there's one common word that pops up in those conferences that we sit through, you and me, after each and every game. Mitch Johnson, what does he say? Discipline. He uses words like discipline, maturity, mature basketball. I feel that the Spurs do have those lulls, as for example, we saw in Memphis. It feels like this team still needs to have that experience. Yes, they are experienced, but their main pieces are not yet. So I think that's what I'm looking at in this road trip is the maturity level basketball-wise of this relatively young squad. Your thoughts?
Sure. I mean, this team is an early development stage. I mean, not super early. I guess they're kind of like mid-early. They're getting out of their novice stage. But this team started off really hot. They're not an elite team yet. Even with Wemby out there, they have a lot of work to do. They're really good, and they have like a pretty good concept that they're going through. But their playbook on offense is not super refined. Their defensive execution is good, but it could be better for sure. And what's really interesting about this road trip is getting to see what does the defense look like without Wemby. Like, how coordinated can they be? How good is their communication? How good are their rotations? All that kind of stuff, especially against a team with a really like high level playmaker like Devin Booker. Like they just had a good game against Memphis, who was missing like almost all of their point guard rotation, and Jaren Jackson is running a lot of that offense. Devin Booker is on a totally different level. Nikola Jokic, Anthony Edwards, and Mike Conley. It's like these teams have much more potent offenses. It's going to really test all those perimeter guys to see how well coordinated they are. And I think it's a good thing. Like the Spurs, they need a good wake-up call out of their hot start once they came back to reality of like, all right, what does this team really need to improve upon? And, well, playing without Wemby would probably be number one. And then, for the offense, like they're missing Castle, missing Harper, who maybe will come back during this trip. Maybe Castle will come back during this trip at some point. Like this is giving De'Aaron Fox a ton of room to show what he can do and to find his footing with this, with this team. And it gives them a chance to really work on their spacing. So the thing I think I harped on the most early in the season was that their spacing wasn't very good on offense. All of their guys weren't moving around the perimeter on a string. They didn't seem to know how to get themselves open, where to cut, where to flare out to if you're a shooter. to make yourself available for the pass when guys like Vic are drawing a double team. And it's gotten better, I think, as the season has gone on. And we're seeing like Harrison Barnes, Julian Champagny having really good shooting season so far. Barnes is like having incredible shooting. He's like almost at 50% from three, right? And then that game against Memphis was like that's kind of like his like real magnum opus of the season. So they have the pieces, and what's good about this team is we know they have really good depth. Like they're 10 deep and good rotation players that you would be willing to play every single night. And so that's why they're still going to be solid even without a bunch of their guys. But I think the big thing you're looking for here is like, what can this defense do? How reactive can this defense be? And I'm less concerned about Jokic, just because like Jokic, it's not that like he's like it's easy to know how to guard him, but just like everyone has guarded him so many times that there's a bunch of just like kind of playbooks you can call from on how, what's your game plan on him. So there's like, there's not going to be as much to like learn from that game, but it's those other games against more traditional, or not traditional, but just like more typical, basically teams that don't have Jokic, who's like a completely atypical player that makes you defend it a totally different way. It's going to be interesting to see how do they defend against those teams? How do they rotate against those teams? And then like, how good does De'Aaron look running the offense 24/7, and who else is going to step up?
Yeah, exactly. And a good way to segue into our next segment. Coming up next, we're going to talk about, can the Spurs survive this road trip as of this recording without Wemby and Castle? So what should be some things the Spurs should be doing to come out of this road trip as less beat up as they possibly can? We're joined by the Athletics' Jared Weiss. Coming up next, more Silver and Black talk.
Hey, let's talk about Quo. One of the tools that help make a huge difference in business owners is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's a great same business phone system that you heard me talk about before with just a new name. Here is why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. What was the number one business phone system that streamlines customer communications? It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying around two phones and relying on a landline. We love how Quo, formerly known as Open Phone, lets your team share one number, collaborate on calls, text, shared inbox, so no customer gets left hanging. Built-in AI agent is a game changer. It can answer after-hours calls, capture leads, keep businesses moving when you're off the clock. And whether you're a solo operator juggling every part or a larger team, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you got an existing number with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Let's talk about DoorDash. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found a perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, the stuff you actually want. For example, you'll love that it's just not food. You can get everything from snacks to drinks, headphones, ice, even socks, all delivered. DoorDash has you covered for late night highlights, last minute watch parties, and double OT fuel ups. Next time someone goes for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day and get 50% off your DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the drop bag. Hey, Dash Pass members can only use this. 50% off. Yep. 50% off up to $10 a day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Mr. Olympia himself. Oh wait, that's Jared Weiss right here at the gym now. I'm glad we do close-up shots, Jared, because we got. I don't know. We have time for the gun show from your side of things right now, Jared.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that, especially myself.
Again, he writes for The Athletic. He is the Spurs cover guy. He's their beat reporter. He's joining us here to talk some Silver and Black, and we're looking at the upcoming road trip that your team has right in front of them. So we kind of briefly previewed the 4 games ahead of them in the first segment. So now, how can this team survive? And again, we want to make it very clear. As of this recording, Castle and Wemby are not playing. They're out with injuries. So we're going to go with that assumption. Nevertheless, though, you hit on a big word in the first segment there. That was depth. We saw it shine versus Memphis. We saw it shine a little bit in Sacramento before, versus Sacramento before Castle exited. There are signs there that this team can weather the storm as much as they can. Now, look, you can't duplicate what Wemby does, and nobody can. So Cornette is going to have to step up. All the other bigs are going to have to step up. Wouldn't be surprised if Sochan has to play a little bit of 5 if Wemby's not back during this road trip, which I doubt. But nevertheless, depth is going to be key. How do you see this working out?
Honestly, that's actually one of the things I'm really interested in is how are they going to use Sochan? Because he's the guy that right now it's hard to figure out what his role is very consistently on a night-to-night basis. And he seems most effective when he's at the 5 because he can space to the corners right now, it appears. And he's really good at playing, near the baseline, near the rim. He's good at screening and rolling. Like those are the things he does well on offense. Handling the ball's a little like he's a guy. He's a 4 that can handle the ball. He's not a ball handler necessarily.
Right.
I've seen a few people mention Ben Simmons. It's actually a pretty decent comparison, and I mean that in a positive way. Like,
sure,
before Ben Simmons' career fell apart, he was an all-star caliber power forward, essentially, who was a really good ball handler. Just the lack of shooting and the confidence issues really got to him. Sochan, I'm seeing a little bit of that from him, but I think that he doesn't seem lost out there as much as like he's trying to find his place out there. And so when we're talking about spacing, he's one of those guys that I think still needs to figure out how does he fit into the spacing of the offense. And when they're able to play small ball 5 with him, that makes it easy because he's the guy that gets to roll through space. He's the guy that sets the screens, and he looks really good in those situations.
Yeah, he really does. And you expect him to get some more minutes as this road trip begins. Cornette is going to be Cornette. He's going to do his best at starting 5. So you're hoping some good things without Wemby. Castle's interesting, though, because if they move forward without him and barring any, updated IR list and hey, he's available, they seem to have more hitters, more guys that can step up to fulfill in Castle for what he does now. You're looking at, obviously, Fox. That's the obvious one. But, I mean, Keldon can walk the ball up. Devin can. Sochan. I don't know if we want to give Sochan PTSD, though. I know he freaked. They gave him the point guard duties.
Give him a little bit of try, especially because he's such a good defender. Like you got to keep. That's the thing is like they got to keep experimenting to find Sochan a role here because obviously with this contract situation, like you got this
good point
to figure it out. But like they need to figure it out because you see his defense is really good. He was really good defending Triple J in that Memphis game. He's a very versatile defender, and he's got. Like he tries hard and he tries to get in the mix very often. And so his skill set's really tough to find a role for in the NBA if you can't play him at the 5 a lot of the time. But there's a place for him on this team. We've seen it in the past, and there's still got to be one, and they got to keep experimenting to really let him find his vibe. Because once he's moving the ball well and he's like a good conduit on offense, that's when this team's going to get really good. Because this team, ball movement becomes an issue for them sometimes, especially when they're trying to play through Wemby in the post. So like they need to get everybody really moving the ball in the string.
It is, yeah. And but we kind of focusing on a little bit of a Castle here. It feels like they can hold the fort down a little stronger than they can maybe with Wemby, simply because they can get the offense from several guys. Those Castle minutes are going to be spread among the usual suspects, Vassell, Sochan, et cetera, et cetera. But I look at it more on the defensive side, on the perimeter of what Castle does. I think there you might see some moments where the team misses him during this road trip. Your thoughts?
Well, sure. I mean, the number one thing they're going to miss from him is the defensive pressure.
Yeah.
And the intensity going at the rim. Like that, their defense was pretty good so far this year. And a big part of that was just that Castle was just smothering people. They were getting out into transition. I mean, we saw in that Memphis game, like they didn't have a fast break point until the late fourth quarter, I think it was, or the middle of the fourth quarter. Like, this team needs to live in transition. I mean, especially when Wemby's out there, and maybe that principle is a little bit different with, without Wemby out there, especially because like Cornette isn't a good fast break guy. Sochan is a good fast break guy at least, but like Cornette's really good making reads in the half court offense. So maybe they don't want to put as much pressure. But like that Castle's energy level this year has just been awesome. It's been off the charts, and it's allowed him to put up some pretty good numbers, even though his his feel for the game, it still has a lot of work. It's just because he's just so intense and he's so aggressive and he's so persistent, and he can do things that like Keldon, who also has that ability. Keldon doesn't have that downhill explosiveness at the same level. So it's great that they have this guy that could just attack the rack at full force over and over again. And now De'Aaron Fox is back. He's starting to get his feet under him. We're seeing he's getting into the paint like 30 times a game. Like, he's getting there a ton, and he's getting to that floater. We'll see if he can get all the way to the rack, and then that's when he starts drawing fouls and stuff like that. Once De'Aaron can do that, then that's when he's in the mix of being an all-star again. But so until that happens, like, Keldon was their one guy on the team that could get to the rim, because that's the funny thing about the Spurs is they don't have a lot of guys that consistently drive to the rim and get all the way to the rim and finish.
Yeah, exactly. And we're seeing some areas where they can help to survive, but ultimately, what do you think it's going to come down to? Again, under the assumption that they're not going to be having Castle and Wemby in these next few games on the road, where does it begin? Is it just kicking up that pace, trying to get downhill as fast as they can, and just make it a track meet? Where do you see them kind of figuring this out to survive life without Wemby and Castle?
I think that's the big thing is, like, can they still have that high pressure defense that can turn teams over and get in the fast break? Because, their 3-point shooting's been okay so far. I mean, Harrison Barnes has been shooting great. Champagne's shooting, like 37.5% as of this recording. So he's having a solid shooting year, but not really at his level. And then Fox is the only other guy that's shooting average. So, all right, so the 3-point quality is not very good. So they're going to need more volume. They're going to just need more transition for easy buckets. That's kind of the name of the game most of the time for them, but especially right now when they don't have victories, they just kind of settle in and just run the offense.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm with you. I think it starts for me on that upping the pace, trying your best in transition just defense in general. And you kind of like that they got a few games under their belt without Castle and Wemby. I mean, at least it was at home, but at least they kind of got an idea of what they have to do to hold the fort down to those guys come back. And again, I look at these next 4 games on the road against some pretty good teams. It's a chance to really test their mettle and see what this team is made of. And look, if they fall flat on their face, fine. It happens. Jared, I just don't want them to get clubbed upside the head. And, give me a good fight, Spurs. That's all I want. Just give us a good fight, and we'll appreciate it. But if they come out 2-2, I think I'd be happy with that at minimum. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, that would have been fair even if they were healthy. I mean, Minnesota and Denver are 2 of the best teams in the NBA, and Phoenix is playing at a very high level right now. I mean, that's 3 teams that are hard to beat. And then, of course, they only come home for 1 game. Then they're back on another road trip. But in Cleveland, and they have Orlando. New Orleans probably won't be that hard, although Derek Queen's been killing it, so who knows. But, this is a really hard schedule ahead for them.
Yeah.
Like, they're able to come out of this in around the same place they are in the standings. They just hold down the fort until Victor comes back, and just get some of these other guys need to hit a rhythm. Like Devin Vassell, he's one of like the big litmus test guys coming into the season of like, is he going to prove that he could be a consistent enough shooter that he can prove value for this team with the amount of money they're paying him? Because they got other guys that are getting ready to step up here. And, Vassell, so far, his shooting has not been very good. He's shooting, let's see, is it 34.7% from 3? Like, that's got to be a lot higher. That's got to be in the 38 to 39 range for him to really be valuable. He's got to hit a couple more shots a game. And that's a lot. I mean, if you're taking a lot of threes like he is, 2 more shots, 2 more threes that go down a game, that brings you from like 13 points a game to 19 points a game. So just somewhere around that would be ideal. They can get more consistency out of him shooting. That really changes the equation for this team.
It really, really does. We'll see how the Spurs fare in the next 4 away from San Antonio. He is Jared Weiss. He writes for The Athletic, covering the Spurs for that outlet. Make sure to go follow him on X. We'll talk about all that in just a few seconds. Coming up next, Mitch Johnson. Yeah, is this, life without Wemby and Castle and more Wemby? Is this kind of one of his earliest tests as a head coach? Let's talk about that coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried Prize Picks, it's the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less, at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup. You can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. You've been using Prize Picks during both football Sundays and NBA tip-offs. It keeps every game exciting. Maybe you like picking your favorite players, like Steph Curry, Victor Wembanyama, Mahomes. Just see how your predictions will play out over at. They got this thing called New Stacks. So this New Stacks feature is a game changer. You can now pick more on, for example, Devin Vassell or Harrison Barnes, points, threes, and assists in the same lineup. Plus, if one of your players leaves early with an injury, the injury reboot saves your lineup from a loss. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Mr. Jared Weiss. He writes for The Athletic. He covers the Spurs out here in San Antonio. Good guy, great guy. Make sure to follow him on X. He'll tell you about that in a few minutes. And you want to do it right now, especially because Spurs season is here, baby. It's here. And they come out the gates looking good. But Mitch Johnson, for all intents and purposes, I know last year, he was interim head coach. We get that. But really, this is his rookie season as an NBA head coach officially. We understand that. And so far, not bad, 5-0 to start the season. 2-game losing skid, the most they've suffered so far this season. Showing a lot of more growth on that court. Teams playing pretty good. Now, unfortunately, the injury bug does happen to all NBA teams at one point. It got the Spurs early. Castle and Wemby, y'all know, we don't have to rehash that. They're out for a while due to injuries. So, Jared, my question now is this, would you consider this point in his young NBA head coaching career playing without or not having his star player, Wemby, and then, of course, Castle, as kind of an early test to see what Mitch as a coach is made of? Your thoughts?
Sure. I mean, of all the people we're talking about getting tested here, Mitch Johnson's getting tested more than everybody because Wemby is the core of what they do, and they have to completely change their scheme to accommodate for him. And, I don't think motivation is going to be that hard. Like when you lose a star player, that gets all your other guys to try harder because they have more opportunity. The question is, what can he do to make, I think, more of their defense hold up, right? Because their defense doesn't have to be super on point out on the perimeter because they got Victor back there and he just cleans up so many things. Oh, yeah. How do you get by when you're not cleaning everything up? They're playing Luke Kornet and Kelly Olynyk and Jeremy Sochan at the 5. That's their rotation right now. Kornet is a pretty good defender. He is not super athletic. He needs to be in the right position. In order to make that work, that means your guards have to be funneling at the right angle so that Kornet can intercept the ball at the right position. It's like, there's no, we saw like in these games, like Wemby is out of position. He just like turns around and puts his hand out behind him blindly and blocks shots. Like they probably have a lot of really bad defensive breakdowns all the time that we just don't really even notice that much because of Victor. And also Victor just takes the steam out of opponents because teams will just nope it where they drive at him and they just turn around. They're like, nope, I don't want anything to do with that. They don't have guys that do that besides Wemby. Because who else in the NBA even does that besides Wemby? So there's just so many more factors that come in for the defense, from consistency over the course of the night to, the angles that they have to feed the ball into, stuff like that they just have to be so much more precise on. And like that's really hard to coach. Like that is the kind of the key to coaching. Like coaches, most of what they do is they build a defensive scheme that can be consistent. They keep guys on point with their personnel, scouts, and all that kind of stuff, so that they know they know how to react in split seconds of things. And then on offense, it's mostly about like, can you just read the tempo of the game to pick the right stuff that you want your guys to run? But for the most part, your guys are kind of like figuring it out there offensively. So defense is where a coach, I think, really, really shows their ability. And this is where Mitch has got to show it.
Yeah, and good news is he has a guy on staff named Popovich if he needs to lean on. So that's always helpful too. He needs to make a quick call. Hey, I'm in the other office. Can you come by? I'll go by. I'll go.
Pop is around. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he may have told Mitch, "Hey, I'm here if you need me. I'm here if you need me. You can knock on my door."
Mhm.
But I would hope that Mitch would try to figure it out on his own. There's something to be said about taking the training wheels off, and if Mitch has to fall flat on his face to learn, then so be it. Again, we forget that he is technically, by definition, a rookie NBA head coach, and just as much as a rookie NBA player or a young player has to take their lumps, so does a coach. And that's where I really want to see how Mitch handles this moving forward in the short term without two of his big weapons on the roster. I'm with you. I got to see defensively how he adjusts without Wemby. Offensively, I think it'd be a little easier because he has the horses on there from Fox to Devin to Keldon, Barnes, throw him in the mix too. So he should be okay there. It's just defensively, how is he going to adjust? And he's going to be taking on some good coaches in this road trip. You mentioned one, Phoenix Ott. See how he does the chess match with that guy. The list goes on and on. So yeah, I think this is a really nice early test for the young Spurs head coach. I think he'll come out pretty well. I mean, sure, just like anybody, we're all human. We make mistakes. We've seen Mitch do a few of those already this season. But hey, if you can minimize that, get this team in the rhythm, hold the fort down while these big weapons are out, they should be fine. So all in all, I got a lot of confidence in Mitch. I think he should be doing a bang up job when it's all said and done. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not that I have a lack of confidence in Mitch. I just think this is kind of uncharted territory for him this season, where he has to have an extended run against top teams without Victor. Because last year, obviously, they didn't have Victor for most of the for the second half of the season, and that team was just in a different place. Like, this team is trying to win now, and obviously there's some developmental curve to it. They're trying to learn how to close games. They're trying to really get a feel for their offensive system. So, like, obviously there's some learning factors here, but the standard here is he's supposed to win all these games. There's no more cushion for him to walk on if they get a couple losses. So I'm really curious to see, obviously, can they win these games, and two, if they start losing and he's hitting some adversity for the first time this year, how does he handle that? What's his messaging? Is he going to take the blame if they're playing poorly? Is he going to call people out? We saw like Thomas Isaldo is in Memphis has not been afraid to call people out.
No, not at all.
Pounding the table. Is he like what kind of coach is Mitch when he's facing the adversity of expectations, which is something that he hasn't had to do yet, and it's going to happen at some point this year. They're not a 70-win team. They're not. They maybe could be a 50-win team if things go really, really well, but they're probably more, somewhere in the 40s. And that means there's going to be a lot of ups and downs this year. And it's not just going to be injury. This isn't going to be, and that's the other thing is, like, obviously he's not going to make excuses, but how is the public going to react if they have a bad road trip? Are they going to go, oh, it's just no Wemby? Or are they going to look at the roster and be like, there's some serious concerns here with this, or not serious concerns, but like there's some legitimate concerns here with this roster to figure out, can these guys perform really well? And how good are these guys without Victor? Which probably doesn't matter for the long-term development of this team. You're developing this team assuming Victor is the guy at the helm, because if something goes wrong with Victor's career and it goes sideways, then who cares he's on the roster? You're just going to clear house and rebuild around Harper and Castle. So, like, whatever. But, like, this is a good opportunity for guys to show, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to step up when there's an injury during the postseason, or just when the pressure's on. How do I handle more responsibility? Like, there's a lot of questions to answer here. There's more questions to answer without the big guy out there.
Yeah, exactly. But life would be a lot easier if you see that guy right behind Keldon right now on that court as the Spurs about to head on to that road trip. But no, good test. It basically, I think overall, it's just a good test for the roster, coaching staff included. So we'll get to see exactly what these Spurs are made of, and hopefully they come out not too beat up at the end of the next 4 games away from San Antonio. He is Jared Weiss of The Athletic. Jared, how can fans follow you? What are you working on over there at The Athletic regarding the silver and black?
go to The Athletic, subscribe there. I'm dropping, usually a few stories a week, but, working on some big picture stuff now, especially with Wemby out. And then you find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Jared Weiss NBA. I'm doing videos after every single game to, just kind of do my observation I think is interesting, and I'm trying to have some fun with it. So follow along over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually saw you doing your videos at the Frost the other day. I said, I'm going to leave the man alone. He's working. He's working right now. So doing all things good for the Spurs fans, whether here in San Antonio or away. Spurs fans definitely love their silver and black. And Jared, try not to make us look bad next time at the conference, right? Be flexing in, with your workouts there, buddy. What are you working out today? What are you working out today?
I think I'm going to do chest, shoulders, back today. We'll see.
The triple hitter, man. That's a triple hitter.
We got a lot ahead. I gotta get my lift in today before it's too late.
After this, I mentioned to you before we record. Obviously, I'm having fun with Jared. He's a good guy. He knows I'm just messing with him. But you trust me, Spurs fans will think I'm picking on you. I'm not, everybody. I'm not. Jared's fine. I'm actually gonna hit the gym too. I think I'm gonna do a cardio session today. Like shoot for like an hour 15. But I have to mix it up.
That's for sure.
I have to mix it up, Jared. I have to do like 20 minutes on the stair stepper, like 20 minutes on a treadmill, 15 on the bike. That's the only way I can survive a cardio day. And yeah, so I am not looking forward to that.
Just like the Spurs offense, you got to mix it up.
God, look at that. Look at Jared, man. Going to close it out in a good way. Jared, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, your workout schedule, to hop on here to close us out this week right here on Locked On Spurs. So there's good news and bad news, Jared, because you made your debut here on Los. We appreciate it. But now you're on my wheel. So you probably get that text from me one day and be like, God bless him. Jeff is texting me again. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I'll just see you all very soon.
Exactly. Again, Jared, thank you again for your time. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever we get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know what to do. What is that? Subscribe ASAP. Become an everydayer right now. Thank y'all for making Locked On Sports Podcast the number one in the nation, the sports podcasting network. Yeah, so we definitely appreciate it. Hey, while you're at it, subscribe to Locked On Spurs on YouTube. Stay on YouTube, search Locked On NBA, subscribe to Locked On NBA. That'll catch you up on all things outside of just only the Spurs, all the rest of the league. So go do that right now. We'll be back next week as the Spurs season continues. So for Mr. Jared Weiss, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.